Welcome back to Whitt Acres. I'm Cody, there's Echo, and we're gardening at home. Today I will be working on the raised bed and giving you an update on the spring garlic we planted and my sweet potatoes finally that we started back February 20th. I'll also do a greenhouse update to show you what's going on at this time of year. So what I need to do today is cover my raised bed with some potting soil. I'm going to be using Fox Farms Happy Frog potting soil. It has some mycorrhiza and humic acid in it. It's ready to use for indoor and outdoor plants. It's also got some worm castings, some other good stuff in there that you want for your garden. So if we take a look here, I have it covered to help keep some heat in. We're right at about 45 degrees soil temp, and the garlic is already shooting up. We got some sprouts right here all the way down the line. Really surprised that this worked. I didn't know if the garlic would be coming up or it'd have enough time before it got hot out, but it's the first time I ever tried growing garlic, so I'm glad to see I got some sprouts. Even the ones over here in the asparagus bed, they're coming up just fine. I got almost every one of them showing a sprout. You can see the asparagus leaves, they're filling in. I don't see any shoots, but it's still early. It's nice to see some of these crowns. At least half of the crowns are definitely made it through the winter. Now we also put some garlic over here around the butterfly bush ring. And let me try and find one. There's one. Let's see, that one's coming up just fine. We move over. Nothing yet here, but there's one right here. One here. This garlic is all the way pushed up out of the ground. Try and cover that back up. And then that one's doing real good too. Looks like around the ring I got pretty much all of them growing. So that's pretty nice. I'll let you know what else is growing in here during the property tour video coming out beginning of April. So keep a lookout for that. But let's get started. I'm going to be pulling off that cover. And then I'll rip open that Happy Frog, get it dumped across and evened out all the way across the bed. Now I need to go grab my rake. Alright, we got everything leveled out and a nice layer of good soil. Some more garlic coming up. We got a nice layer of soil that's going to be a lot more inviting for me to direct sow some carrot seeds and everything else going into this raised bed, since that compost I put on before wasn't quite broken down. Now what I'm going to do, set this back in there. Now that my garlic has something holding them bulbs in, that'll be a lot nicer. I'm just going to cover this up with the landscaping fabric I have here. It still lets water through, but it holds the heat. I'm going to cover this back up because we're having some cold nights this week. It's going to be in the 50s it's going to be in the 50s in the daytime, but it's still going to be dropping down into the 30s and sometimes below that at night to finish out March here in zone 6A. So I'm going to get this covered back up, throw the golf ball for pup, we'll move on to the next thing. Alright, we're all covered up. Just want to take a handful of cow manure here, cover up this one that's pushing itself up out of the ground. Get that one covered. Maybe still give it a chance. Onto the greenhouse. So we've been getting a lot of wind. So you can see I got the greenhouse all barricaded up. Because my door was blew off a few times. So I had to get these bungees all strapped around it. It worked. All my stuff, as you can see, still protected. Alright, so the first thing you're seeing is a very dry onion tray. Gotta get that watered. Over here my microgreen peas are growing, and then this is just a mild mix of brassicas. Still waiting on that vinca. The vinca is not popping up. I got 3 of the climbing varieties there, but none of the regular. Everything's looking kind of hot in here, especially the peppers, but we'll get there. So over here we got some of the tomatoes and the tomatillos. Back in the corner some huckleberry and some ground cherries. This tray needs some water. This one's pretty good. More tomatoes for the garden. And then this tray is all calendula, and then some vinca and some salvia, but none of that's coming up yet. Might need some water too. This tray's okay. The endive and the sorrel's coming up nice. Tomatillo purple's coming up, and so is one Rutgers. Not sure what's going on with this tray. I need some germination on that tray. The basil's looking good. Actually, that tray in the back needs water. Alright, I need to do a lot of watering today. Let's look down here. Calendula and the brassicas are looking good. The gherkins are strong. Some of these extra tomatoes are doing great. Looking good. I got the daisies all separated out into their own cells. Waiting for those Crespidia to take off. Looks like I got 2 or 3 of those. The onions, the tree cabbage. I got 3 or 4 artichokes. They're just beating out that poblano pepper. Poblano has no germination. The snapdragons, and I got 2 penstem in there. They're looking good. And here's the dry peppers. Oh my. I gotta get some water on these and water on the brassicas. Up here the herb tray is completely dry as well. The oregano is looking horrible. 72 tomatoes are hanging on by a thread. But the greenhouse is looking good. Here's my test spot of that cow manure. The peas are healthy and the one bean looks okay. And then my hyacinth did end up blooming, which is nice. Smells great. I'm gonna get some water on everything and then we'll go check out the cold frame. Alright, so I think I got everything watered. One thing I did forget to mention was I did sow a tray of lettuces, mustards, chard, kale, spinach, arugula, romaine, tango lettuce, red tango, a couple different lettuces and greens. Get those started, covered those up, and then got everything watered back here. I might have to water these bigger fellas, but they seem to be doing just fine right now. I don't want to overwater them. But my system is I fill up a bucket, put my companion plus fertilizer in there for the seedlings, and then I just fill up little trays. This is what I'm using, Companion Max 201, just for seedlings, and then I use some Epsom salts as well. And that seems to get me pretty far into the growing season. Let's go see the cold frame. As I was mentioning, we have been having some windy days here, so you can see I got my cold frame all hunkered down, weighted with stones. And that's to keep it from blowing off the hinges. I have it vented just a couple inches with some flat rocks. You can see we got some nice green growth in here. Got to stand over here to keep my shadow out of it. Get these leaves out. So the first row is cress, and I do have germination on the cress. You can hopefully you see that. It's coming in. It's probably the slowest out of everything I put in here. And then the red romaine, it has a nice green line down the center there, all the way down. And beside that, the arugula is really taken off. Now I got Georgia collards. They came up just fine, as well as the Mabuna. Oh, my lid's falling down here. Mabuna mustard and the rainbow Swiss chard. And if you remember from our cold frame planting video, right there in that corner, the spinach is coming up. I have 2 rows of the radishes, and it looks like most of those are germinating just fine. And in the back I have the Parisian carrot, which is a small stumpier carrot that should do fine in the shallowness of the raised bed here. I'm not getting a great germination off of those, but they take some time. I am getting some to pop up, which we'll just see how it goes. Get this other leaf. All in all, for the first time doing a cold frame, I'm pretty happy with the success here. Might have to get them some water, but I should have some greens to be picking off and making some salads here earlier than I previously would have. I think the cold frame's coming along nice. It's got the nice stain on it, match the pergola. We got some nice daffodils blooming up beside it. Things coming in nice here in the spring. The next thing I have to do is pot up the sweet potato vines we started back on February 20th. So that means going down into the basement and checking the root cellar where I have those growing under the grow lights. Let's grow. Here we are at the sweet potatoes, started February 20th. They are cruising. All 3 took off, shooting up some slips. This one's doing the best. It's got slips coming straight out of the middle. But what I need to do now, which I should have done a couple weeks ago it looks like, but I forgot, didn't have the time. I need to get these ones into a jar of water. Now I could just up pot them into individual pots, but that takes a lot of soil and I don't really want to do that. What you want to do is get these right at about 6 inches, and that's probably the best time to take your slip. But besides that, I already got them up at 12 inches and some of them even more. So what I'll do is I'll prune these. I'll cut them about halfway, right about halfway, and then I'll still take this group of slips and throw them in the water and see if they root. Sweet potato is a very vigorous grower and they like to grow, so I always give it a chance. So I'm going to get these pulled off, put in water, and they'll be able to start spreading their roots even more. Alright, so this is the next day because we got cut short yesterday doing the sweet potatoes. I had to go to my brother's and do some electrical work. But now today I am getting a new mailbox trellis made. I have a clematis vine, purple clematis, planted next to, right behind my mailbox. Last year I had an arch on it and it didn't quite fill out the way I wanted it to, so I'm going with a different trellis this year. So I found things on Pinterest that gives me an idea of what I can do. So I'm doing this 4x4 type trellis here. It's going to go attached to the back of my mailbox, and then I'm going to put some lattice in between. Once I get it all together, I'll show you the finished product. Here it is. The trellis is done on the back of the mailbox. Finally got it in place, got everything shored up. I think it's going to work out just great. The vine I have growing on this is going to be the clematis. It's a purple clematis, so I think I have some white and green hostas on the underneath the mailbox, so I think it's going to be a nice color scheme. Right now I am pruning back some of my jelly melon and potato cucumber because they just got huge. There. Look, you can get it on camera. Well over 1.5 feet long. It just goes to tell you, it goes to show you, you don't need to be starting these 10 weeks out. You can easily start these 4 weeks out, I'd say. They seem just fast as a cucumber, if not faster, so no reason to go as early as I did. Now, looks like the potato cucumber is actually a nice short, it's a short stockier plant, potato cucumber, but it's already starting to flower, so it was too early. And the jelly melon is the one that's vining out real long. But either way, I can start those a lot later. I can start those with my cucumbers instead of my tomatoes. That's all for this one. Well, you guys can see me on the next one. See ya.